Now let us read the question. A system with a transfer function, they have given g of s is equals to s square plus 9 into s plus 2 divided by s plus 1, s plus 3, s plus 4. The steady state of the steady state output of the system is 0. That means at one particular frequency, definitely when the system output is 0 means at one particular frequency the output of the system is going to be 0. Right. So you have to identify at which frequency that is going to be 0. Anyway, first calculate the magnitude of it. Output is 0 means obviously it is always with respect to magnitude only. Phase will not be create any 0 magnitude. Okay. With respect to magnitude, first let us calculate the g of j omega magnitude. This is a very easy question. So what is the question? J omega square plus 9 square j omega square whole square. Next, j omega whole square plus 4 under root whole divided by under root j omega whole square plus 1 into j omega whole square plus 9 into j omega whole square plus 16. That's it. Now by at what frequency I can see the system is going to be 0. Underline this word, very important. 0. So put s is equals to, always you see in the numerator, this is the only odd term is there. J square omega, j square value is minus. So now you tell me minus omega square value will be 9. So if you do so, obviously we'll get minus 9 here. So minus 9 square plus 9 square, entire thing will be 0. So therefore at omega is equals to 3 radians per second, the magnitude is going to be 0. From this question also you can directly put s is equal to j omega minus omega square, because j omega whole square means what? Minus omega square. Put omega is equal to 3 in this, so minus 9 plus 9, khatam, answer is over. So therefore what is your answer? C is correct. Now find MR and omega R, means resonant peak and resonant frequency. So first of all, find out the transfer function of the given system. What is the transfer function of the given system? 4 upon s square plus 4s plus 4 na. It is a unity feedback, that to negative unity feedback. So therefore s square plus 4s plus 4. So from this we need to calculate omega R. What is omega R? Resonant frequency. Omega R is omega n into root over 1 minus 2 zeta square. So from this we have to calculate for zeta. So what is zeta? 2 zeta omega n is equals to 4. Correct? What is omega n here? Can I say omega n is equals to 2? Then from this zeta is equals to 2 into 2, 4. 4 by 4 is 1. Zeta is equals to 1. So finally we got the zeta. When you got the zeta 1, what is omega r? This value is, the entire bracket value is imaginary. Is it possible to calculate the resonant frequency at imaginary condition? No, it's not possible. So therefore from this I can say omega r is not possible. That means infinite. Not possible or cannot be determined. MR is equal to 1 upon 2 zeta into root over 1 minus zeta square. You see, 1 by 2 zeta into root over 1 minus zeta square matlab kya? So put zeta is equals to 1, MR is also infinite na? Put zeta is equals to 1, MR is also infinite. So it is also not possible to calculate. Not possible or undetermined. Not possible or undetermined. Cannot be determined. Because the condition in frequency response analysis, the condition for zeta in frequency response analysis is it should be always less than or equal to 0.707, which is nothing but 1 by root 2. Less than or equal to 1 by root 2 for omega r calculation. For MR calculation, if you put 1 by root 2 here, you will get 1 by 0. 1 by 0 means infinite also. Okay. So it is advisable to choose the value for resonant, sufficient resonant peak. It should be always 0.707, or you can say 1 upon root 2. Both are same. So therefore, you have to choose the zeta value in frequency response analysis such that you should have a sufficient peak and as well as the resonant frequency. That value will be 0.707. Okay. I hope this question is clear. So based on this, we have some couple of questions. We will see that. Please take it up. Now let us see another question. Now let us find from this, what is the closed loop transfer function from this? Closed loop transfer function, which is equals to 4 upon s square plus 4. S square plus 4. So here one term is missing. What is that? That is 2 zeta omega n is missing. Okay na? So that means here omega n is not 0 because omega n is equals to 2. Right na? Omega n is equals to 2. But what about zeta? Can you tell me what about zeta? Zeta we cannot be find na? Zeta will be 0. So from this, how we can calculate the value of zeta value, or you can say MR value, omega R value? Could you please tell me? MR value, omega R value? So here zeta value we got what? 0 na? What is omega R? Omega n into root over 1 minus 2 zeta square. So what is this value? Omega n is equals to 2. So can I say 2 radians per second? Can we say that? 2 radians per second. What about the MR value? Straight away, MR is equal to 1 upon 2 zeta into root over 1 minus zeta square. Here zeta is equal to 0, therefore infinity. So you will get some kind of assertions and reasoning question. When zeta equal to 0, omega n cannot be calculated and MR can be calculated, and vice versa. This can be calculated, this cannot be calculated, and this is the correct reason to calculate this. Like certain assertions and reasons will come. So you have to be very careful about certain zeta values for to calculate MR and omega R value. Okay. If you see this question, they have given g of s, h of s is equals to 10 upon s plus 20. Now let's calculate the magnitude of this, because here we are going to calculate the gain margin and the phase margin of the system. So first calculate the gain margin. Gain margin, if you want to calculate, first calculate the magnitude. What is the magnitude of the question? Root of omega square plus 20 square. Here one important observation you have to do. One important observation. What is that important observation is, you take any value of the omega, whether you take 1 radian, 2 radian, or whatever the radian you take. Always if you observe one thing, the ratio will be definitely less than 1. The ratio will be definitely less than 1. So if magnitude is always less than 1, and anyway phase angle also you will be getting around minus 90 degrees less than or equal to theta less than or equal to 0 degrees only you will get. Why so? You calculate the phase of this, minus tan inverse of omega by 20. Because here when you take a large frequencies, then only it might be possible, but mostly the angle will be within these. So therefore can we say the gain margin and phase margin cannot be calculated? or it's difficult to do it? Yes or not? Yes. So therefore, gain margin and phase margin values are infinite and infinite. Therefore, option C is correct. Now the given question is, the gain margin of the system is 20 dB. The gain margin of the system is 20 dB. The gain of the open loop system is doubled. The gain of the open loop system is doubled. Then the gain margin becomes. So first of all, what is the gain margin formula? Gain margin, okay, they have given like how much? 20 dB. So can I say from this K is equals to 10? Why? Because we know 20 log K is equals to 20, because 20 dB na, what is the formula? 20 log K. So from this, for what value of K such that you will get the 20 dB? For what value of K such that you will be getting the 20 dB? K should be 10 na. So that's why I have taken K is equals to 10. Now, therefore gain K is 10. Gain K is 10. The gain of the open loop system is doubled. Then the gain margin becomes. So definitely if the gain of the open loop system is doubled, then obviously the gain margin is going to be, yes, half, and we need to calculate this. So how much? If the gain of this open loop system is doubled, gain margin will be half of it. So therefore the new gain margin will be 20 log of 10 by 2. The gain of open loop system is doubled, its gain margin is going to be half of it. So how to calculate this value? I will tell you a trick on this, which is 20 log 10 minus 20 log 2. 20 log 2 very standard value. It is 6 dB. 20 log is 6 dB. Okay, if you want to get the 12 dB, how to do this? It will become 4. So therefore what is this? 20 log 10, obviously we know 20, minus 20 log 2, 6, 14 dB. That's the answer. Clear enough? So therefore what is the answer? Option B is correct. So one logic we have to understand is the gain of open loop system is double. Its gain margin will be half of the actual value. So 10 by 2, and finally you will get this 14 dB. Okay. Now let us see next question. So the given question is like this. GSHS is equal to 10 e power minus 5s by s, the gain crossover frequency of the system. The gain crossover frequency we are going to calculate how? Magnitude of G of s, H of s at omega is equal to omega GC, which is equals to 1. Which is equals to 1. What is the magnitude of this? E to the power of minus 5s. Its magnitude equals to 1, where omega is equals to omega GC. Whenever you observe a note here, what I am going to tell, observe a note here. Whenever if you are having any exponential term, obviously stable exponential term only they are going to give. Exponential term is there, like for example e power minus as, or you can say plus or minus as, anything you take. Its magnitude is always unity. Why? Because you know that exponential term can be written like cos theta plus I sin theta, Euler's formula, which is nothing but e power I theta. Similarly, it looks like same. Means we put s is equal to j omega, same format. Put s is equal to j omega, is it looks like e power I theta, in place of theta omega is there. So cos theta plus I sin theta. What is the magnitude of this? Cos square theta plus sin square theta. Its value is 1. So always exponential term value will be unity. So therefore we can write like this is 10 by omega is equals to 1. From this, omega is equals to 10 radians per second. They may ask the units in either radians per second, or they may ask you like in terms of RPM also. They can ask you. You have to convert according to that. Okay. So therefore, what is your answer? Frequency omega is equal to 10 radians per second. Omega you got. Okay. So simple exponential term, its magnitude is always unity. Exponential term, and its phase is always, you better note this down, its phase is always whatever the exponential term is there, that is minus 5. In place of s you just put omega, that's it. Minus 5 omega is the phase exponential term. Example I am telling that, minus 5 omega. Okay, so therefore what is the magnitude overall here? 1, and its phase is whatever the exponential term is there, that one is the answer. Okay, so now let us see the another question. The question is, the GSHS at omega is equal to 2 radians per second is minus 145 degrees. Find omega GC and phase margin. Okay, find omega GC and phase margin. So generally phase margin we are going to calculate like this: 180 degrees plus angle whatever it is they have given, angle GSHS. What is angle GSHS you got? Minus 145 degrees na. What is that value? Which is nothing but 35 degrees. This is what the phase margin we got. And what about the omega GC? Omega GC is nothing but what? Straight away 2 radians per second. As per this data, the omega GC is nothing but what? At omega is equal to 2 radians per second. Because phase crossover frequency we are going to calculate where? Gain crossover frequency. Phase margin we are going to calculate where? Phase margin is always going to calculate at gain crossover frequency. Phase or gain margin we are going to calculate where? Phase crossover frequency, right? So therefore what is omega GC value is obviously equal to 2, straight away hint they have given. Okay, now let us see next question. Okay, similarly this is also same model na. Omega is equal to 1 radians per second. 1 radians per second, and they have given that magnitude at an angle of minus 180 degrees and find omega PC. Omega PC they have given directly na 1 radians per second. Straight away they have given, because at phase crossover frequency only we are going to calculate the gain margin, right? What is the gain margin formula? Yes, reciprocal of magnitude. Reciprocal of magnitude is called what? Gain margin. So 1 minus 0.5 is equals to 2. Okay, so therefore phase crossover frequency is 1 radians per second, and the reciprocal of the magnitude is nothing but the gain margin, which is nothing but the 2. Okay, so you compare these two problems. At one frequency they are going to calculate the phase margin, at another frequency they are asking you to calculate the gain margin. So you need to understand one note here. You have to remember this. Gain margin we will calculate always omega at PC. Always omega PC. Phase margin always will calculate omega GC. That we need to remember. Okay, never ever forget that. Now let us see next question. The phase margin of the system is minus 20 degrees. The phase of the GSHS at gain crossover frequency. Okay, what is they have given? Phase margin they have given minus 20 degrees. Okay, the phase of GSHS at gain crossover frequency, that means We know what is the formula for phase margin, angle, or we can write like this also, 180 degrees plus angle GSHS. Angle GSH of S at omega is equals to omega GC, because it is a phase margin. Okay, so now already you got the phase margin is minus 20 degrees. And what about this 180 degrees plus angle GSHS? Simply let me write like this, phi. Now this is what they are asking. What is the phi? Minus 200 degrees. This is what your actual answer. ठीक है ना? So already you calculated the phase margin, but they are asking the phase of GSHS. That means given system, phase of GSHS given system at where gain transfer frequency. It is calculated somewhat value. Gain transfer frequency is somewhat value. At that value we are going to calculate this phase margin. ठीक है? So this is what the value you got, minus 200 degrees. Okay? Now let us see next question. Now if you see this question, they have given a transfer function 1 by s plus 1. What is the input? 10 cos t plus 45 degrees. So as per the given question, transfer function is equals to 1 upon s plus 1. And what is the omega value here, sir? 1 radians per second. And what is the magnitude they have given here? 10 for the input. M suffix I for the input. Now what is they asking? Steady state output. Steady state output means, as I told you, A into 10 you need to calculate. A into 10, because 10 is refers to input side, A is refers to change in magnitude with respect to this input. So how to calculate this A? How to calculate this A? Magnitude. What is the magnitude? 1 upon omega square plus 1. So what about this value? At which omega? 1 na? 1 by root 2. Put omega is equal to 1 in this. 1 by root 2. So at this value, okay, therefore, what is the steady state output? 10 into A. 10 by root 2. What about the phase also? Phase also minus tan inverse of 1 by 1. Is it right? 1 by 1. Omega by 1 means 1 by 1. Because omega value is 1 na? What is this? Minus 45 degrees. Y of t value is magnitude 10A cos of t plus 45 degrees. Okay, anyway you got minus 45 degrees also. Therefore finally you got 10 by root 2 cos t. Because the thing is, as per the question, they have mentioned 45 degrees at the input side. 10 is the magnitude at the input side. We should consider those two. If you are not considering those two, for example, you will be getting the answer like this, 1 by root 2. 1 by root 2, if you forgot the 10, 1 by root 2 cos. If you forgot the 45 in the question, you will get 1 by root 2 cos of t minus 45. It is also there. Okay. So try to omit those problems. Okay. Now let us see the next question. So look at this question. A standard prototype second order system. Standard second order system means omega n square by s square plus, what is that? Transfer function is equals to omega n square by 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. This is what that. Now what is the damping ratio they have given? Damping ratio they have given 0.8. Now resonant peak. Resonant peak means MR. Resonant peak is MR. So can you tell me what is that MR value? 1 upon 2 zeta under root 1 minus zeta square. So 1 upon 2 into 0.8 into root of 1 minus 0.8 square. Calculate that value. How to calculate that? Root over 1 minus 0.8 square, right? 1 minus 0.8 square means 0.36. 0.8 square. So 1 minus 0.8 square 36. So you got 1 upon 2 into 0.8 into 0.6 you got. So from this, can I say 100 by 2 into 8 into 6? Can I say that 0.8 is nothing but 8 by 10, 6 by 10. 100 by 2 into 8 into 6. So 100 by 2 into 8 into 6. So answer is 1.041. 1.041, which is approximately 1. Okay, it's a simple one. Only thing is we need to know the resonant peak relation, like relationship between resonant peak and the damping ratio, so that the problem will be very easy. Okay, so now let us take another question. For the standard second order system damping ratio 0.9, that means zeta equals to 0.9 they have given, and they are asking resonant frequency omega r. How much? What is the formula for omega r? We know that omega r is equals to omega n into root over 1 minus 2 zeta square. Okay, so what is omega n here? Resonant frequency, they are asking omega r is equal to omega n into root of, what is 1 minus zeta square? What is the zeta value they have given? 0.9. So 0.9 means 2 into 0.9 square. Now see, omega n into root over 1 minus 2 into, what is 0.9 square? Calculate. 0.9 into 0.9 got 0.81 multiplied by 2. So therefore 1.62 you will get. Okay, anyway you keep it here. Omega n into root over 1 minus 1.62. Okay, so omega r value is not possible here. Why? Because this value is giving negative. So obviously imaginary parts you cannot calculate. So therefore not exist. So therefore can I say this value will be straight away 0. You cannot consider the imaginary frequencies now. So the 0 frequency only we are going to consider. Okay. Now let us see another question. Yeah, the gain margin of the underdamped system. What is meant by underdamped system? So zeta value is 0 less than zeta less than 1. 0 less than zeta less than 1. So for an underdamped system, gain margin of the second order system will be always, so the gain margin of the standard second order underdamped system, gain margin of underdamped system is always infinite. Always infinite. So therefore the gain margin is always infinite. Okay, because its omega pc is also infinite. That is one of the reason.